Hi everybody, it's Indah Melinda Sari again, registered migration agent at ONEderland Consulting. I hope you're all keeping safe, sound and healthy. A topic that continues to come up often in our inquiries has been questions about travel exemptions. With the borders continuing to be closed, aside from a few exceptions, you will need a travel exemption if you want to enter or even leave Australia. So today, I will be going through all the in and outs of travel exemption, in what cases you will need one, in what situation will need it, and how to apply for it. Australia's borders have been closed for more than a year, but the government has kept strict control over this to limit the spread of COVID-19. This has meant many people have been separated from their loved ones and unable to see each other, whether it is because you are unable to leave Australia or your family members or loved ones are not able to enter Australia. The only way around this has been to get a travel exemption, which can only be gotten under certain conditions. First, let us go through people that are exempt and do not need an individual travel exemption to enter Australia. The exempt categories are an Australian citizen, a permanent resident of Australia, an immediate family member of an Australian citizen or permanent resident, a New Zealand citizen usually resident in Australia and their immediate family members, a person who has been in New Zealand or Australia for 14 days or more immediately prior to arrive by air in Australia, a diplomat accredited to Australia, including their immediate family members, a person transiting Australia for 72 hours or less, airline crew, maritime crew including marine pilots, a person recruited under the government-approved seasonal worker program or Pacific Labour Scheme, a person who holds a business innovation and investment, the subclass 188 visa. Now there are a couple points to note here. First, these categories are changing over the time. So if you are watching this video at a later date, be sure to check the immigration website for the latest updates. Secondly, as you could see, one of the listed categories is an immediate family member of an Australian citizen or permanent resident. This is somewhat misleading because in this case, they mean only a spouse, a de facto partner, a dependent child, or a legal guardian. So just be aware, this does not include parents or siblings. So if you do not fall under one of these categories, who is entitled to an individual travel exemption? Well, you may be granted an individual exemption if you fall under one of these categories. A foreign national traveling at the invitation of the Australian government for a state or territory government authority for the purpose of assisting in the COVID-19 response, traveling for compassionate and compelling run, providing critical or specialist medical services, a foreign national with critical skills or working in a critical sector in Australia, a foreign national sponsored by employer to work in Australia in an occupation on the priority migration skilled occupation list. Military personnel, a person who resides on a vessel that seeks a safe port at the closest appointed port for reprovisioning or safety reason for a limited duration, a student completing year 11 and 12 with endorsement from the federal DESE, a student in your final 2 years of study of a medical, dental, nursing or allied health professions university degree where you have evidence of a confirmed placement in an Australian hospital or medical practice which begins within the next 2 months, a foreign national whose entry into Australia will be in the national interest. Now, as you can see, there are various reasons they may consider you for an individual exemption. However, what we see coming up the most and asked about the most is an exemption based on compassionate and compelling reasons. This is rather unclear and can mean many different things. A lot of family members not considered as immediate family may try to say they should be allowed to see their child or sibling due to compassionate and compelling reasons, as they have been separated for a long time due to the pandemic, but even this may not be accepted as a good enough reason. The department on their website states that compassionate and compelling reasons include, but are not limited to, needing to travel due to the death or critical illness of a close family member. You must hold a visa and have an exemption to Australia's travel restrictions before you travel. You can request an exemption online and must provide appropriate evidence to support your claims. It really depends on your own circumstances if you are trying to use this reason to get a travel exemption. Just be aware that they examine your reasons in details. Be aware that Australian temporary visa holders do not need an exemption to leave the country if they are located in Australia, but it will be very difficult to get back to Australia once you have left the country. You should submit your request for a travel exemption at least 2 weeks, but no more than 2 months before your intended date of travel. The request will generally take 7 days to finalize, however may take longer depending on complexity. If you would like to request a travel exemption, then you can do so online via the Home Affairs Travel Exemption portal on their website. We have provided the link in the description. The process is completely free. If your request gets declined, you are able to keep on trying, as the approval will depend on your individual case officer assessing your request. Lastly, if you are granted the request of an individual exemption, it is advisable to bring evidence of the exemption with you to the airport. As always, thank you for watching. You can find our contact info in the description and comments, or drop me a comment or a question in the comment section and I will reply to you as soon as possible.